So we're here with the Arc of Ohio podcast with Josh and Lindsay, and one of the great things that we have the opportunity to do is we work on public policy, and we always want to be able to give families a voice, right? So Lindsay is the public policy guru for the Arc of Ohio, and yeah. So who do we have coming on board with us today, Lindsay?
We have Bethany Lilly from our Washington, D.C. office. She runs the policy. She gets to sit in on actual things at the Capitol and do a lot of advocating for those with disabilities. So glad to have you, Bethany.
I'm so happy to be here, y'all.
Yeah. Because a lot of people don't understand. I'm doing different family support groups, and even as we help people get to the state house and testify, and always just these awesome things. A lot of people feel like the Arc of Ohio is just its own entity, but there's so much more than that. And there's the Arc of the United States that works on the federal level. Then you have each state has their own arcs and different various arcs chapters and things. So when we talk about Bethany Lilly from the Arc, that's from from Washington D.C. So it is so awesome to have you here with us.
Yep. I'm really happy to be here and happy to talk about all the amazing work we're doing at the federal level.
Yeah.
Super exciting. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we start talking about all the federal excitement that is happening?
Sure. So I am Bethany Lilly. I am a late 30s white woman with short, dark hair, and I live in Washington, D.C. I don't live down by the Capitol or down by the White House. I live in North D.C., a part you'd never visit if you ever came to visit DC. But if you do come to visit DC, let me know, and I can always recommend restaurants. I'm very good at that. So, yeah, but I'm really happy to be with you guys today.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about, how did you get involved with the Arc? What kind of your journey of from Bethany Lilly of whatever, 10, 15 years ago to now Bethany Lilly with the Arc?
Sure. So I actually first started to run into the Arc when I was working on Capitol Hill. I was working for Senator Harkin from Iowa, who's since retired, and I was doing disability policy for him. And one of the advocacy groups that we met with was the Arc. And I then moved out into the community here in DC to do federal policy in healthcare and in disability rights for a mental health nonprofit. And while I was there, I was working with the whole federal policy team at the Arc on a collection of different issues with Marty Ford, who used to do all of our Medicaid and LTSS work. And then Nicole Jorwick took all of that over. And so I made a lot of friends on the Arc national policy team. And when they started looking for somebody to come do Social Security and SSI policy, they wanted me to come and I wanted to go. So it worked out really well. I got to come work with some of my favorite people. And over the past 3 years that I've worked at the Arc National, I've gotten to know our chapter network across the US. As Josh said, we've got almost 600 chapters, state and local, across the United States. And it's really nice to meet people on the ground and learn about their experiences and then be able to turn around and take those stories directly to members of Congress. It's one of my favorite things about my job.
Yeah, cool.
What are some of the projects that you're working on right now?
Well, so right now, the Arc National is focused on a whole lot of different things. I am only one member of the team, but my big projects, have been around Social Security and supplemental security income lately. And specifically, we've been working really hard to try and get some long needed improvements to SSI. Yeah. Anyone who's on SSI can tell you how hard it is.
Yes.
Right.
The asset limits haven't been updated since the 80s. We haven't had an update to a lot of the rules of the program since 1972. And so trying to make sure that we're getting those updates needed, getting members of Congress to know about them and introduce legislation on them. That's a lot of what I work on a day-to-day basis. We had a really big update fairly recently that I'm excited about, where your senators, Senators Portman and Brown, actually introduced a bill on SSI. They introduced a bill to increase SSI's asset limits. And I'm really excited about that. That's the first piece of bipartisan legislation we've seen on SSI in a couple decades. So
that is cool.
yeah,
Wow.
I think it's really
Amazing. It was so awesome.
Yeah.
And lots of credit to Lindsay and Gary and Josh and everyone on the Arc of Ohio team for that, because you guys definitely did a lot of meetings and raising this issue with your members. And that's how we see these changes happen, is we make sure members of Congress know what's going on.
Yeah. Good. So the Arc of Ohio, obviously we're all in all 88 counties and family support groups. So we meet all these different families, and our families are amazing. I mean, they help one another, they mentor one another, they encourage, and it's just an awesome dynamic that we see. But we have a lot of, we call them Ohioans, all right? A lot of Ohioans that like to get involved in various projects that we do on sometimes it's their county level, sometimes it's the state level, but we do have some who like to get involved on the federal level. How can an Ohioan get involved in some of the projects that the ARC is doing?
Well, they can reach out to the ARC National. We have a website. It's thearc.org.com or thearc.org. It is thearc.org. And we actually have a whole action center where we have ways for folks to get in touch with their federal representatives. Make it easy. If you want to send them an email, you can send them an email. If you want to call them, you can call them. If you'd prefer to tweet at them, because Twitter is your preferred mode of communication, we can set that up too. And in order to access those, you go to thearc.org/action, and all of them will be there. I don't know when this podcast is going up, so I'm not sure if we're going to have a specific alert on the SSI bill that Senators Brown and Portman just introduced, but we're working on that. We're hoping to get that up soon so that everybody can use that. Make it as easy as possible for you to let you know that your senators, that you care about this bill. If you're an Ohioan and you're thinking about how you can help, thanking Senator Brown and Senator Portman for doing this can be a really good step. Members of Congress, I feel like we always think about them when we want to reach out and cause trouble and say, hey, can you do this thing for me? Because I need, this program isn't working or this thing isn't working. But members of Congress are also there if you want to say thank you. And they do appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I know some of our families, even for state representatives and state legislature, they get it feels daunting. It feels very overwhelming. You want me to sit down and talk with, and so we try to create a better understanding of, no, this is an awesome opportunity, and kind of understand that they're there to represent you. So it's cool. So that's a great way to get involved. So again, if families, anyways, who is listening, the Arc of Ohio.org has some resources, but you could also go to thearc.org/action. Right there we go, action, and that will give you everything that you need to be able to get involved and help on a federal level. And I think that's cool. I think that's where the network of the ARC is so strong and so amazing to see, is that there's just these two-way streets of lifelines, right? There's different things from the ARC National that go to our chapters and to our families, and there's also a lot from our families that go to the ARC and help this total empowerment process. So that's an awesome thing.
And I'll just say, as somebody who used to work for a member of Congress, it was really important to us to listen to the people that we represented. That's what every member of Congress wants to do, should be doing, is listening to their constituents and figuring out what the problems are and how they can fix them. So think of it as you're helping members of Congress do their job if you're reaching out. Because I think that's how I think about it, is every time I reach out, I'm helping a member of Congress know what concerns the disability community has about something.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Well, Bethany, thank you so much for coming on board and joining us for the Arc of Ohio podcast. And we'll have to have you come back maybe later. We'll get closer to election time and all that good stuff. Have you back on our podcast, and it'll be great. We'll have fun.
Happy to come whenever you guys will have me.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.